Welcome to Worth It or Worthless, a show where every couple weeks we pull a game from my own personal collection of retro games, take off our nostalgia tinted glasses and decide, is the game good by today's standards? Is it worth the price of admission? We talk about what the game does well, what the game doesn't do so well, and the things that are just plain weird. I'm your host, Dan, joined as always by my friend Jordan. Jordan, what do we get into today?
Today we played Bible Adventures for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Bible Adventures is the unlicensed and unofficial story of the best-selling book of all time, adapted in all its 8-bit glory for the small screen.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what this is. Bible Adventures. It's an unlicensed game made for the Nintendo NES, and it's something else.
Yeah, you said it's an adaptation of the best-selling book of all time.
Yeah, well, it's like,
This covers all of the bases. Do you need to know anything else about that particular book after playing this game, or is it like kind of a...
It's sort of like, what book are you asking? It's in the title, Dan. It's the Bible. The Bible. Yeah, they not the whole thing. Obviously, they had to. This is an abridged version. You get three little Bible stories here in 8-bit versions, and it is interesting. The whole story behind this game is interesting. This is one I actually owned.
Okay.
I owned this game as a kid. My mom or somebody bought this, and so we had this in our collection.
Now, when you say the story behind this is interesting, are you saying the source material or the story behind the game itself? Like some kind of interesting development, like Wisdom Tree decided to make an unlicensed NES game?
Yeah.
Or 7.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly that. The fact that this company was trying to make unlicensed games, and Nintendo was like, you can't do that because we won't let you sell it in any stores. And they said, well, what stores could we sell games in that don't sell Nintendo games? Christian bookstores. So they decided, the developer wasn't originally like solely making Christian games, but then once they realized where they could sell these games unlicensed, then they became a Christian game developer. I think just as some background here.
Their come to Jesus moment.
Yeah, quite literally. If you somehow missed this in our previous podcast, I don't know if we've ever actually mentioned it. I am a youth pastor, and so this is very funny to me. This game, it is December still when we're recording this, and when this is being released, and so we decided finally I was going to get to pick some games.
Yeah,
I think
I'm calling it Jord-December.
Okay, we have to make it a pun, apparently. So I picked the last game, which was Rampart, which was a resounding worth it.
Yeah,
the reviews have been coming in from you guys since we released that episode. Everybody loves it. Everyone has a new favorite game.
It's funny you should mention that because
skyrocketing.
When we're recording this episode, that episode hasn't even gone live in the public feed.
Yeah, well, sure, Dan, if you want to say so. And then I got to make a list of a few games from Dan's collection, and we put that on our Patreon, and we put it to a vote, and we let all of the Patreon subscribers vote on the second episode this month.
Yep.
And out of all of the choices I gave them, the winner was Bible Adventures. And so for the last 2 hours, Dan and I sat down and we played it.
We did?
We played it.
We sure did. And what did we learn, Jordan? We're going to have to be really careful about what we put as Patreon polls in the future.
Oh, no, I'm glad. This game is hilarious to me that it exists. The whole story behind it is hilarious to me. And I think it will be a good discussion.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
Well, Dan, do you have any fun facts for us about Bible Adventures?
Not many.
Not many.
But I have a few. This game was developed and published by Wisdom Tree, as we mentioned, purveyor of fine retro games at Christian bookstores.
They were formerly called Color Dreams, I found out.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they were called Color Dreams before they decided to pivot to the whole Christian bookstore market.
Okay.
If you're like, oh man, I loved Color Dreams. I didn't realize that
one
was
of my favorite NES
the same company that became Wisdom Tree.
Yeah, right. Jordan, this game came out in 1991. There was an NES version, a Genesis version, and a PC version of this one. So
PC, like
personal computer.
Like there was a PC version back in the day, or are you referring to the modern Steam port of this game?
I think back in the day, you could find like a CD-ROM or maybe a floppy disk, I would assume at that point.
Yeah, probably not a CD-ROM.
A DOS, I don't know.
Yeah.
PC version.
Cool.
The game reportedly sold 350,000 copies.
According to Wisdom Tree.
Forget Toys R Us. All you need is the Christian bookstore.
They have a, like normally on Nintendo products, there's a little seal on the front that says like the Nintendo seal of quality.
Yeah.
And obviously they couldn't do that because this game was unlicensed. And
right.
So they put a little seal on there that kind of is in a similar spot, same color. And it says all of the biblical content of this game has been approved and reviewed by, and you're thinking like, oh, they must have got, somebody to review and approve this. It says all the biblical content in this game has been reviewed and approved by Wisdom Tree. So apparently, if they can be trusted to review and certify their own content, surely they can be trusted to review and certify their own game sales. 350,000, you said?
Yeah.
That's a lot. I mean,
Jordan, I did a review of our podcast, and I can certify that it is fantastic.
Yeah, well, I mean, might as well put the worth it or worthless seal of approval right on the cover.
Yeah, we need to add that too. We need to add our own seal of quality to our podcast artwork.
Yeah. Why not?
We should make it like a mini gold worth it or worthless logo. And like,
no, you don't want to make it your logo because you don't want to make it too obvious. That you have to put it in the fine print that we are the ones certifying our own worthiness.
Oh, man. Jordan, last fun fact. By the way, the fun facts come from our friends at Wikipedia.
Yeah, of course.
Not our friends. Our friends is what I mean.
Oh, okay.
Games Radar gave this game the honor of the 68th worst game ever made.
68th worst.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow, and it's hard to quantify that because there's been so many bad games. So many bad games.
Well, to even get a looks, I think, says something about this particular game.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you have to have enough clout to even be like, it's like, you're not completely written off. Like, it's worthy of noting that it's bad.
Yeah. I mean, to think about that list, how do you even compile a list? Like, I guess, I don't know how big Games Radar is as an outlet or anything, but it's like, how many people do you get in a room where you're like, we have the authority to judge every game ever made and to compile a list of the worst games? You can't have
are you
them all.
saying like they called an official like council
I think so,
together to do this?
They had to have had like their editors. I'm not familiar with Games Radar. I think it's just a normal like game journalism website or whatever. But I would assume that they got all of their editors together in a room to make one of these internet lists.
No, there's no chance. One guy put this list together and an editor said yes. That's just not how internet journalism works. You don't gather a council. It's not like they're trying to decide like, in the spirit of the game we're covering. This wasn't like the biblical canon where they gathered a council together to decide what was going to be on it and not. This was definitely just one guy coming up with a list.
Maybe
not. Maybe they pulled the entire universe of journalists from the gaming sphere and came up with a list of the worst games ever. And this number 68.
Anyways, Jordan, do you want to get into what the game does well?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
All right, Dan, despite this being the 68th worst game ever, according to Games Radar, I think that there are some things that we can say about this game. And first and foremost, the thing that stands out to me is that this game is better than it has any right to be.
Okay.
And now, stick with me on this one here. It's
what?
So, as an unlicensed game created by a publisher who, became a thing simply because they were trying to figure out a way around Nintendo's licenses and all that. And I was reading a little bit of the Wikipedia page. Like, the guy who created all this, he was self-taught. Like, this is like the least official game company ever. So basically what we have here is a fan game. Like, if somebody was like, I'm really into Batman, and they're gonna, or you hear about all these Nintendo fan games and stuff. Like, this is basically just like a fan game. Like, I'm really into the Bible, I'm gonna make a Bible game. And it came out in 1991. So when you think about it like that, the fact that they were able to take these tools that were not intuitive or easy to use at the time, and they came up with something that was actually playable and not terrible. I don't remember hating this as a kid. It's better than it has any right to be.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't Can't say I agree with you on that.
That's fair. That's fine. I'm just, we gotta have something to say.
I've got some things. I've got some points.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Jordan, this game has a generous continue system.
Second point. Generous with the continues. I agreed, yeah.
There's no lives in this game. There's just, you get health in the form of stone tablets with Bible verses written on them.
Yeah,
or tutorials.
If you've never seen this game, it's essentially a ripoff of Mario 2, where you walk around and you pick stuff up. It's a platformer where you pick stuff up.
I think is a little too generous of a comparison.
Okay, it's a platformer where you walk around and you pick things up. All 3 game modes. There's 3 different game modes. You have a Baby Moses game mode that very loosely follows the story of Baby Moses. You have David and Goliath mode that's pretty accurate, and a Noah mode that is way longer than it has any right to be.
Okay.
Well, no, David's it's David. He's a shepherd. You're collecting sheep. That that checks out. That checks out. And then he eventually goes and fights Goliath. Like, there's nothing in there that you're like, okay, they stretch this a little bit. The whole Baby Moses thing. We'll get there. Quite the stretch.
Okay.
Anyway, so it's a platformer, and your health is, sometimes you walk around and you find some like 10 Commandment tablets on the ground, and when you pick them up, like Dan said, it might give you a little tutorial on how to play the game, or you might just get a Bible verse, and then that somehow gives you more life. It gives you extra health.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, anyways, the continue system. So the levels are pretty short for the most part. But the nice thing is, instead of them like punishing you, sending you back to the beginning of the game you can just continue every time you fail. And I like that. I thought that served this particular game pretty well.
Yeah, you have infinite lives. I think part of it is, we talk about often why so many of these old games were, like, the difficulty was inflated because they didn't want you to go rent it and beat it in a weekend. It's not really a problem when your game isn't available anywhere officially. And so, like, no one's going to be renting this from Blockbuster. They don't have to, like, artificially inflate the difficulty. So they just gave you
they didn't do it artificially. They just did it on purpose manually.
Yeah, and the game is hard, but it's beatable.
Is it?
I should say... We beat Baby Moses. Okay, that sounded wrong. We completed the Baby Moses levels. We completed the David and Goliath levels, and we were well on our way to complete the Noah's Ark levels, but it was simply too long.
We ran out of time. We could have beaten it if we had the heart and the time.
Absolutely. The basic gameplay loop is very repetitive, and so we realized that we had gotten all we needed to out of this game.
Yeah. Jordan, another thing that I have that this game does well, multiple games.
Yeah, same. 3 game modes. And the fact that it could have just been one long game.
And it was, but...
Yeah, but they could have, like, locked it, like, you have to beat all of the David ones, and then you get to play the Moses ones, or whatever.
They probably didn't know how.
They didn't know how to just like stack them.
Just hacking it together.
Yeah. So instead they give you 3 different modes and you can choose them whenever you want. And when you die on the screen when you're dead, you can go back to the menu, or you can continue, or you can choose a different game mode. It's nice. I like it.
It's a variety of the same. I mean, they're not like that drastically different. They're all like pick up something and carry it somewhere.
Yes.
Pick up a baby, pick up a sheep, pick up a toucan.
Isn't that basically how life is, though? Like, you pick up something and take it somewhere.
Sometimes.
Give me any scenario in life. Any scenario.
I was going to say food, but no, that feeds right into that.
Yeah, exactly.
No pun intended.
Pick it up somewhere and put it in your mouth.
Yeah. You can't say groceries because you just pick those up, take them home.
Exactly.
Work. You don't
work. Yeah, you're going to pick up. Well, what job am I doing?
Yours.
My job is to pick up knowledge and take it and put it somewhere into somebody else's brain. To put it in someone else's brain.
Is that what this podcast is about?
Yeah, this whole podcast, we're going to pick up an experience with the video game and then put it into the internet for you to listen to.
Goodness. Okay. All right. Well, point being, 3 different game modes, essentially very similar gameplay.
Yeah, they're all built on the same, engine or whatever. They're pick it up, move it somewhere. You don't even have to put it down sometimes. Sometimes you just end the level by picking it up and taking it somewhere.
Yeah. Sometimes you fail the level by not picking something up and going to the end of the level.
Oh, yeah, which is also true of life. If you get somewhere where you're, and you don't have the thing you needed, you got to go back and get it.
Yeah.
Specifically thinking of the DMV.
Oh, no.
Other government entities.
Jordan?
Dan?
I have one last point.
I have none last points.
None last points. Okay. So I have maybe some humor in the sprites in the gameplay.
Oh, the very expressive facial.
Yeah.
What are those called? Expressions.
Yeah.
The word that you just said.
You get hit by a snake and you make a funny face.
Yeah.
The pigs, they slippery pigs. You got to feed them fruit to pick them up.
Yeah.
How silly.
You got to knock out a lion with a bale of hay before you can pick it up. Just like real life.
I think you're mixing games. I don't think there's a bale of hay
in the final.
lions.
Yeah, there is. In the final level of Noah's Ark, you're trying to collect lions, tigers, coyotes, and then some non-carnivorous animals.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We didn't make it that far because we ran out of time, unfortunately.
We did not, yeah.
Truly, truly sad. But it was good to see the end of the games that I never saw as a kid today.
Yeah, we definitely got much further today than I ever did as a kid.
Yeah, this is a video game, but there were moments that were funny.
Oh yeah,
with this experience, like when the eagles they fly down and they keep knocking you over.
The eagle will pick you up
away
and carry you into the sky, which is also realistic. I've seen a video on YouTube of an eagle picking up a deer.
Eagles versus whatever. If you find a bird of prey, and versus another animal, you will find some crazy videos on the internet.
Eagles are nuts. My wife and I lived in Montana for a couple years, and there was in our local newspaper an eagle picked up a baby deer and dropped it on some power lines, and the power lines cooked the deer. The eagles are getting smarter than we ever thought they could.
It's ridiculous.
They're cooking their food, people. We got to watch out for those eagles, especially in Bible Adventures when they. It was really funny. Dan was so close to beating this level that we had been trying to beat for so long, and the eagle swoops in and picks him up, and it makes him drop baby Moses, and then the eagle carries him to the end of the level and drops him, and Dan completes the level without holding baby Moses, and it sends him all the way back to the beginning, and it was very funny. I was laughing extremely hard.
I don't even think those are eagles in that level.
What were they? Oh, they were kind of like
they're
seagulls.
Like seagulls, yeah.
Well,
seagulls are very vicious birds of prey. I don't know if you know.
A seagull is just an eagle with an extra S on the front.
Yeah. That eats trash instead of small mammals.
I'm pretty sure that eagles are also what is it called? Birds who eat dead stuff. Birds of prey. No, like carrion birds.
Oh, there you go.
Or whatever. They eat roadkill. And that was one of the big reasons why Ben Franklin wanted America's mascot. Not mascot, you know what I mean. The bird. Our country bird. He wanted it to be a turkey, which I think would have been cool because then on Thanksgiving, instead of eating turkeys, we could have been eating eagles all this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thought. Do you have any thoughts with Jordan before we shift gears into what the game doesn't do so well?
No, I think I'm ready to shift those gears.
All right, let's move on. All right, Jordan, the first thing on my list of what this game doesn't do so well, the music.
Yeah, the music. Okay, this is the weird thing. The game actually has some pretty decent menu music and death music because they just straight up ripped off some classical music. I think it's Ode to Joy or something. They just ripped it off. It sounds fine. But then the actual in-game music, the thing that you hear 99% of the time when you're playing the game, is so bad. Yeah, it's they didn't. So the NES has 4 sound channels, 5 sound channels or something. No clue.
And most of the time, what developers would do in the NES era if you're jumping, it's going to make a high-pitched jump sound, and then something in the music is going to duck out while it makes space for the sound effect that you need.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, all the sound channels are being used.
Yes.
Well, instead of doing that in this game, they decided let's just never duck out the music. Let's like just sound effects will be exclusively on one channel. Let's only use the baseline channel or whatever. I don't know what the different channels are. But it's never like there's no drums like with the noise channel. There's no like kick and snare. There's no like melody. It's just a baseline by itself the entire time when you're playing this game.
Yeah, there's no discernible melody. You get one almost random sounding bass line during the actual gameplay, and it's in all 3 game modes. That same
it's
very
awful
one note bass line.
And then by the time we were done, like an hour or whatever, hour and a half into this, I'm just like, I can't. This is starting to feel like it's a nail in my temple.
See, I was starting to love it. I was like, this could be top 40.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this game, well renowned for its soundtrack, but we couldn't get there with it.
Couldn't get there with it. Yeah, it's very similar to Streets of Rage 3, where a lot of people
I don't know what I would rather listen to.
A lot of people love the soundtrack. Actually, the composer broke a lot of barriers, but just it wasn't doing it for us personally. For me, one of the worst things about this game is that it's a platformer, and it has incredibly slidey and imprecise jumping, which is just a really bad combo for a platformer, is when like your jumping is not precise, and then when you land, you slide. Yeah. It's like everything apparently in this game was made out of ice. Yeah.
I have the physics, and what the game doesn't do well. It's just like, I don't know, man. They by the time this game had come out, we had gotten what year did Mario 3 come out in the US? Was it 1990? I think it was. So we had gotten Mario 1, Mario 2, and Mario 3. You had like 3 great examples that would have been like a way better game to sort of try to imitate the physics on.
Yeah, North America got Mario 3 in February 1990.
Okay. So it's like, well, why would you think that this was a good idea to make the physics feel this way? I can't do what I want to do.
They spent all of their physics stat points on when you run with stuff, like the stuff you're carrying actually responds to the physics of you running
Looks
forward.
Looks like it's blowing in the wind.
And when you jump, everything kind of bounces. So they spent all of their physics points on making it look cool and none on actually making it feel good.
Yeah. They're like, kids aren't ever going to beat any of these levels. What can we do to like make it enjoyable for kids? Like, your animal stack is blowing in the wind.
Animal stack, because as Noah, you can carry up to 4 animals stacked on your head.
I think it's more than that. I'm pretty sure it's more than that if you're feeling risky.
Maybe, but I'm just saying.
But you got to be feeling risky.
I've seen the guy carry a cow, a horse, another cow, and a monkey all on top of his head.
It's incredible.
While jumping, his vertical is higher than his own height. So the dude had mad calf muscles, is what I'm trying to say. It was really impressive.
And a calf on his head.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, this game feels really bad. I mean, it feels bad.
Speaking of the coding, we did notice some incredibly janky coding, some very like weird collision stuff where like sometimes you hit bad guys and sometimes you don't, and sometimes like they're kind of near you and you get hit. Enemy behavior, very strange. Dan got stun locked for an entire health bar, which is always fun.
Yeah, I have the AI also as what the game doesn't do so well. So you're making your way through Egypt and you're trying to get baby Moses to the end of the levels, and let's add these moving black pits that try to troll you. They'll wait for you. They're not moving unless you're like. So there's these parts where what am I trying to say? The black pits, they don't respond correctly. You fall through them when you shouldn't be falling through them.
And they kind of chase you down.
Yeah, they chase you down. That's what I was starting to try to say, is like they kind of wait for you to like be in the least optimal position to like be like, ha ha ha.
You go and you're jumping onto a platform and it looks clear. And then while you're in the air, there's an empty, like the floor falls out and you just fall through it. And you're like, it doesn't help to jump to a different part of the platform because that moving trap door will just shift and get you no matter where you land. And so they spent a good amount of time on the AI for the black pits of doom that just always chase you down in that baby Moses level.
My notes actually say, gotcha.
Yeah, they definitely extended that way longer than it needed to be by just adding a whole bunch of gotchas to the baby Moses part.
Or like the guys with spears in the baby Moses, you're like, where? Okay, so if I touch the spear, like you can't quite figure out how to navigate around the enemies. Like sometimes when you touch them in the wrong spot, they hurt you, but sometimes you can run straight through them without getting hurt. But if they poke you, I think you drop the baby. It's like this whole thing, man. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What?
It's very strange. Very strange. And you drop the baby, and if you don't get back to it soon enough, the guards will pick up the baby and toss him in the river, which is just kind of horrifying to have in a children's game. So, yeah. Interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I noticed some weird stuff at the end of levels. I was playing the Baby Moses level, and I apparently jumped over. Like when you at the end of a Mario game, you jump on the flagpole, and that's how you know the level's over. You don't have that in this game. You kind of just get to the end of the level, and it says "well done." Well, I came in too hot, over the top, and missed the pixel on the screen that would flag the end of the level, and I had to run backwards and find it. That was weird. I noticed when I was watching on YouTube, somebody was fighting Goliath, and they killed him, but as they killed him, his sprite falls, and he fell off the screen, and so it despawned his sprite before it triggered the end of the level.
What?
And then he went backwards, and Goliath respawned, and he had to fight him again. So there was just some funky coding going on here. Like I said, I mean, it's better than it has the right to do because these people, I think, were just fans. They're just out there just attempting to create something.
I got a book out of the library how to program assembly.
Yeah. It's kind of like
code your first NES game.
It's like The Room. It's a movie made by people who have no reason or right to be making a movie, and all of a sudden it goes viral and they've sold all these copies of it. It's kind of like that. You kind of have to just appreciate it for what it is, not what it was attempting to be.
Yeah. Jordan, last point that I have, this thing overstays its welcome for sure.
Yeah.
I was so we pulled the plug on it a level and a half before it was over.
Yeah,
we
that's true.
So it felt really good to do that.
I feel like the David levels were the right length, and they needed to make the rest of the game be that same length without the Baby Moses ones are artificially too long because it's too hard, and the Noah ones are too long because they just keep giving you more and more and more stuff to collect. So if they could have just kept them all short and sweet like the David one, I would have been okay with it.
Yeah, but that's the problem is as the entire package of Bible adventures.
Too long.
Too much.
Yeah.
Overstays its welcome. Specifically because you were talking about, you came over today and you were like, so I looked at, because I think initially when you looked at how long to beat, it was an hour and a half or something. And then you came over today, you're like, I watched some footage to whatever to see how long the game were. This part was 5 minutes. This part was 15 minutes. And this part was an hour.
For speedrunners who know what they're doing.
So it's in speedrunners, these whatever Noah levels where you're running around the same level, collecting all the same, not the same level, but you're collecting different things every time in the same level.
Yeah.
It's no, this should have just been 2 levels that were, or 4 levels that were more interesting than this.
Yeah.
Send me on an adventure for some weird animals.
Or just have you do 2 levels of Noah and that's it. You don't need to have 4.
Let me do a Sonic the Hedgehog thing where I get to the end of the level and I explode a giant thing and animals that I need pop out. Yeah.
So my last thing that I have on here kind of ties into that, and I feel like they kind of had some strange choices for adventures. It's a game called Bible Adventure. You're drawing from a book that has a whole lot of action in it. Think about the number of movies and TV shows and all that have been made out of this source material. And you're going to choose David and Goliath. It's a story. A little guy kills a big guy. It's exciting. You have Noah's Ark, sure, he's collecting animals. Kids love animals. That works for a video game for kids. The whole Baby Moses thing just kind of blows my mind, though, because it's that the whole plot of what you're trying to do isn't even a part of the story. Running around and getting past guards and spiders. So many spiders for some reason. Running through Egypt. If you look at the actual story, it's one sentence, and she goes and puts Moses in the river, and then Pharaoh's daughter finds him, and it's immediately, and there's no intrigue of running around and trying to escape all of these bad guys killing you. It's if you want that, but there are hundreds of stories to choose from where you could have done that. But
it's a classic video game adaptation of different source material. How many times have we got video games that liberally change the source
That's what
material
I'm
in
saying,
ways.
though. But like,
It's
even
just a video game.
You
thing,
want
Jordan.
Moses? Like they put old man Moses like parting the Red Sea on the cover of the video game. That's not in the game. Like actually take a part of Moses's life. There's all sorts of parts of Moses' life you could have picked that would have made for good video game material. This was not it. The whole first sentence of his life. I'm just saying, if you're gonna make a game based on Bible adventures, maybe pick some good ones.
Okay.
I did see Wisdom Tree has a game called Spiritual Warfare, which I think was for the for PC, or I don't know. You can get it on Steam if you're really interested. And I just watched a quick clip of it, and it was a guy walking around throwing fruit at people. Like it's a ripoff of Zelda. So like the original Zelda, where you're like walking and you go off screen and the panel shifts. So it's like a ripoff of Zelda, and when the bad guys come get you, you throw fruit at them, and then they fall to their knees and they're praying, and then they turn into a dove, and you go and pick them up. And so I guess like it could have been a lot worse. Wisdom Tree has done a lot worse, but I'm just saying like I'm not sure they picked the right adventures to include in Bible adventures.
Goodness.
That's it.
That's it. All right, let's move on to the rest of our show.
Let's do it.
Jordan, what would you pay for the experience you had with Bible Adventures? If you could, I mean, I know it's besides the fact that it's priceless.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What would you pay if you had to if you had to buy my copy off of me to display on a shelf?
Yeah. See, this is the thing. You don't even have the cool looking copy. So it came in a light baby blue cartridge, or a black cartridge.
Correct.
And you have the black one, and it's not that it's not cool. It's just it looks more like a normal NES game than the blue one, which was just
because NES games were black.
No, but like there were other
it's not even the right shape, man.
There were other like off-brand black NES cartridges, like the 10 Gen ones, I think, were black. So it's like, if I'm going to get it, I want the real weird looking baby blue one.
If it's behind the box, already, because I happen to own this complete in box.
Yeah, complete in box.
It doesn't matter what color the cartridge is inside the box. Jordan, it's what's on the outside that counts.
Oh, yeah. Good point. I mean, when you're talking about it, like I'm buying this, if I'm buying it, to put in my office as a display piece because it's a funny, weird, quirky piece of culture.
Yeah.
And my own personal history of just growing up having this game. So, like, with that in mind, I'm not buying this to play it. I would put it on a shelf.
Is anybody buying this to play it?
$5 max.
$5 max?
No, that's wrong.
Complete in box?
No. Like, if I saw this somewhere, like at like a Goodwill or something for $10, anything more than that, though, I'm walking away.
But you're picking this up for $10?
No, like purely just as like a art piece to put in my office, like on my bookshelf.
So somehow it spiked from $5 to $10.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, realistically, if I actually saw this at Goodwill for $10, like
you would pick it up.
But more than that, I couldn't justify it.
Incredible. That is incredible to me.
I'm just saying, like, as like the actual game, $2.
How much are you paying on a Steam sale for this?
Well, that's the thing. I don't play games on my computer. I can't imagine that there are people. There's not actually people out there that play games on a computer, right? Those people don't exist, do they?
Just stop.
I can't. Can you imagine like choosing to sit in a computer chair to play a video game?
Yeah.
It just sounds awful to me. There's no way those people actually like sit at a desk for work though. It has to be like people who are like on their feet or like.
All right, whatever. You're saying $10.
I just can't imagine it. Like that's a real stretch, just as like an art piece.
$10 as an art piece. Goodness. I think I've got a range on this one, Jordan.
Oh, I like a range.
Into my gut. My gut initially was like $2. Your tried and true $2. But then I was like, I think I'd pay up to $3. I'd pay up to $3 for the experience I had with Bible Adventures.
There you go. See?
$2 to $3 for this one.
You're giving me a hard time for doubling mine, and you went up.
It was just astronomically high for what I was expecting you to say.
Yeah. Well, like I say, if we're going based just solely on gameplay, $2.
Oh, man, this game is a dog turd.
It's bad, but it made me laugh. It made me laugh, and that's not. We've played some bad games that there's no redeeming factor in it.
This has to be one of the worst games that we've played.
Yeah, but you get to a point where it's so bad that it's good.
No, you don't.
It's so bad that it's funny.
No, it's not. It never transcends.
You die in a game like so. For example, we were talking earlier today about Super Double Dragon.
Yeah,
and I said if you go back to that episode of the podcast, I said that game is egg whites.
It's very funny. Sometimes things happen on this podcast, and it's like, when did that happen?
Yeah, like
during the Extra Life stream, we were talking about Jimmy John's, and it was like, when did that become a thing? And then I was, we're doing the our Retro Game of the Year awards for Super Worth It or Worthless. So I've been going back through some old episodes, and I found the you're like, this game is fine. It's Jimmy John's. You're like,
yeah.
Just to hear you talk about Jimmy John's, and then that's where like some of the mayo stuff came in, where you're like, it's cold, it's creamy,
it's bland. Like, yeah. So Super Double Dragon is so bland that I don't have an opinion about
nothing. It. And in fact, Jordan, you said. When I asked you what you'd pay for the experience, you're like, this is an incomplete game. They should pay me for testing the game.
But this is the thing. Super Double Dragon is a better game than Bible Adventures.
Yeah.
But I'd rather play Bible Adventures.
Why?
Because it's so bad that it's funny.
No.
I never laughed like that
chance.
when we played Super Double Dragon. I didn't laugh. I didn't feel anything. This game at least made me you were in there dying because of the quirky, terrible programming was making the enemies do ridiculous, hilarious things. And that made me laugh. And I actually felt something, which I can't say about some of the other just bad, bland games we played. So, yeah, it's bad, but it's bordering on so bad that it's good.
No. It's worthless.
Oh, absolutely. I don't even know what it goes for, and I know it's going to be worthless.
Worthless. What do you think it's going for? All right, Jordan, we got some prices here. Black cartridge NES. What do you think it's going for?
The black cartridge on NES is probably going for $40.
No.
Higher?
17.
Oh.
17.
Wow.
Don't be so
That's
pleasantly
reasonable.
surprised. No, it's not.
That's reasonable.
Not for this experience.
There's only 300,000 of them, and even less of just the one color.
Speaking of the one color, Jordan, how much do you think that one color? The blue
one, $40.
23. Just
Holy cow.
$6 more than the black version.
Man. Yeah. I'm not tempted. Like if I was actually like a collector in any way, $23 I would go for it. But being
out
me,
of your mind.
That's more than double what I'd pay to pick it up as a joke.
No way.
Although it's outside. So yeah, I was gonna say I'd pick it up as a white elephant gift, but it's outside. A white elephant gift, we do a $5 limit, so it's well beyond that.
Goodness. PC version, which I don't know what platforms. Maybe it's on GOG.
Who knows? It's on Steam.
You're right.
It's in a bundle from Wisdom Tree called the Spiritual Warfare and Wisdom Tree bundle.
Gosh. Spiritual Warfare was so good that we had to name
that
it
was the headlining
the
game. Yeah, that was the headlining one.
Anyways, PC version, Jordan. If you're buying a PC version off the internet, apparently to play on an old PC,
$7.
It's actually 13.
13. Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense. I guess. Yeah.
I mean, it's the graphics I think are a little better on the PC version. I think it runs a little better.
I have no
idea.
I saw the Sega Genesis version, and it somehow looked and sounded worse than the NES version, which shouldn't be possible.
Oh man! So, what do you think the Genesis version's going for? We got two prices again. We are plagued by the cardboard box and the regular Genesis version.
Look that up eventually. I'm gonna say $15.
Is that your final answer?
Sure.
$32 for the non-cardboard box version, Jordan.
Okay.
How many for the cardboard box version?
I truly can't remember if those are better or worse. 23.
$40.
40. I should have gone back to 40. Okay. Cardboard box apparently. Oh, I guess that makes sense. It'd be worth more because it's
cardboard
box
course.
is
Yes.
less durable.
Yeah.
Well, these are loose prices, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Who knows?
So as we said, worthless.
Absolutely worthless. Although if you're a huge collector, $17 isn't crazy, I guess.
And you still shouldn't add it to your collection unless you're a completionist.
If you really want to play this and you are a person who plays video games on your computer, you can pick it up on Steam for $7.99 with a bunch of other games, 6 other games or something.
I have to imagine on a Steam sale, you could probably get that for a trusty $2.
And they also have a bundle right now where you can save 25% if you bundle it with Super 3D Noah's Ark, which is the only unlicensed Super Nintendo game that was ever released. Also made by Wisdom Tree. It's like a port of Doom.
Yeah, I think I saw a screenshot on Wisdom Tree's website.
Walking around and like throwing apples at animals or something. I don't know. If you really want to play Super 3D Noah's Ark, which actually looks a lot more fun than the rest of the Wisdom Tree games.
If you really want to play Super 3D Noah's Ark, maybe play Chex Quest instead.
Well, of course, if you're gonna play a cereal themed retro game, you really don't have any other options besides Chex Quest.
If you're gonna play a Doom clone that's not Doom, then don't play. Just go with Chex Quest. I think Chex Quest might be available for free on Steam, and I think there's like 3 of them now. There's 2 or 3 of them.
Well, you don't want too much of a good thing.
That's true.
Don't want too much of a good thing. All right,
Jordan. Do we have trivia today?
You know I do. I cannot believe you didn't mention this. I thought you were going to blow up my trivia, but here we are. Here we are, Dan. Did you know that
nobody did?
No. Well, somebody did. Somebody on the internet knew this. Did you know, Dan, that a port of Bible Adventures was planned and created but never released for which console? There was a port of this that was planned and created but never released for which console?
The Xbox 360.
No. Was it the Sega Master System, the Super Nintendo, the Sega Game Gear, or the Game Boy?
I have to imagine, strictly based on the Sega Genesis version,
yeah,
that they were going to go for the Super Nintendo version.
You would be wrong. You'd be wrong. It was actually a Game Boy port. A Game Boy port was planned,
probably my second choice,
and created, but never released. It's actually referenced in the instructions and lines like from the Red Monkey, and then in parentheses next to it, it'll say dark shade on Game Boy comes fruit. And from the Yellow Monkey, and then in parentheses, light shade on Game Boy, monkey comes coconut. Okay. So apparently they were so far into planning it that they actually just printed one instruction manual to go with both versions of the game.
Okay.
And then they backed out. I'm guessing it was more expensive, or they just realized, we'll just stick with the NES.
How much research did you do on this game?
Very little.
Where did you find that? Because I think the Wikipedia page.
It was not on Wikipedia.
Was pretty breezy.
It was very short. Yeah, no, I had to do some digging to get that, Dan.
Well, we'll agree to disagree.
We won't. You got the trivia wrong. You got the trivia wrong. All right. Let's move on.
I'm sure I didn't. Jordan.
Dan.
We have a bounty for December.
We do.
In honor of you complaining for 3.5 years about me never letting you pick games for this podcast, even though you never ask.
Not sure that.
The only one you were ever like, let's play Tetris. And we finally got to play Tetris. It was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
Excellent even.
That's a video game. We got a bounty in honor of you this month.
Yes, one of my favorite things in the world is giving away Switch eShop code cash.
To enter this bounty, Jordan, people have to let us know, what is your favorite game? But it's wrong answers only.
So you're sending in what do you think my favorite game is, Jordan, the co-host of this podcast, who has some wrong opinions about things. What do you think my favorite game is? Wrong answers only. And if you do that, you could win yourself $20 Nintendo Switch eShop North American code cash. All of those adjectives.
Code, not cash. There's no cash.
Well, it's called.
No,
cash.
It's not called cash. That's a very different thing that I don't think
code cash.
I don't think we're allowed to do.
All right, not cash. You know what I mean. You're gonna get a digital code that lets you spend money on the North American eShop of the Nintendo Switch. and you can buy a whole bunch of stuff. All you have to do is send us a direct message on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at WIOW Podcast and let us know what you think my favorite video game is. Wrong answers only. You can also send us an email
at worthitoworthlesspodcast@gmail.com.
Or you could message Dan or myself on Discord, send us a DM, and let us know the answer. You can always earn bonus entries on Discord just by jumping in there and participating. It keeps growing every day. We keep seeing new people come in, and it's awesome. It's a great little community to talk about retro gaming and a whole bunch of other stuff. So hop on in there. You are going to earn points or whatever, bounty entries just by participating, but you still have to submit an actual entry to be considered to get those bonus entries, all that kind of stuff.
Yep. All the stuff is in the podcast description if you need that in writing, because we are unclear and rambling about it.
Speaking of bounty, we have our bounty winner from last month's $20
No Thember?
No Thember.
No Thember Spiro mission?
We didn't have a theme, so it's no Thember, and our winner is the one and only Shanks. We asked you, what is your favorite licensed comic book video game? And Shanks said, my entry for the November Bounty Hunt is my favorite licensed comic book game, and it would have to be The Punisher, the arcade/Genesis version, not the NES one, which is an important distinction because the NES one is like a on-rails shooter, I think.
Yeah.
Same as the Game Boy one, and the arcade and Genesis one is a fantastic beat 'em up game.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of it. I have it on my arcade 1-Up Marvel machine, and I had never played it until then, and I love that game. So great choice, Shanks.
And speaking of The Punisher for the arcade, Jordan, I have a feeling that next month we'll be having a conversation about their game when we celebrate Jarcaduary?
No, I thought we agreed on Januarcaduary.
Next month we're talking about arcade games.
Yeah.
And so I think the first episode that we're going to do next month going to be our Desert Island arcade ports, I think.
Ooh, I love it. I love it.
I think it's got to have both a console and an arcade release, I think.
Yeah.
But
that sounds good to me. You never know.
You never know.
You never know what could happen between
Tomorrow
now and then.
never knows.
That's right. So, I'm excited. I'm excited for the next month.
I figured you would. This is kind of like, my friend likes arcade games. Maybe I can like extra shut him up for a while.
Yeah, throw me a bone. Throw me a bone, man. We don't want to play some like JRPG or whatever nonsense you have coming up next.
It was almost JanuRPG. It was one of my options in my brain, but I haven't been out as ahead of things as I would like to be. So I just didn't have time to think about what RPGs would make sense.
He says he's not out ahead of things. As we record this, it's December 6th, and we're talking about what we're doing next month.
Well, if you didn't...
I'm only thinking a whole month ahead.
I'm not only thinking a month ahead.
He actually has plans for February, too.
Some people have completely insane schedules, and so I just have to like pin them down where I can.
Hey.
So
I'm
just saying. Jordan, I don't know if we have any. Do we have anything else? We got a Patreon now.
We do have a Patreon. We mentioned it earlier in this episode that the whole reason we even played this game is because our Patreon subscribers voted on it. So if you would like to have some sort of input in the show, if you want to get a whole bonus podcast every month, we're recording a bonus episode of a podcast called Super Worth It or Worthless All Stars Deluxe, a retro gaming podcast. And that's the first time I ever nailed that name. I think.
You didn't even nail it.
No,
it's not a retro gaming podcast. It's a retro game podcast,
Okay, so I basically nailed it. I just added an extra suffix onto game. Anyway, you could get that. And last month we talked about
the greatest retro gaming series of all time.
And you can watch Dan lose his mind as myself.
Well, you can't watch again, Jordan. Why you keep saying wrong things?
Because this is the thing. When I listen to an audiobook or a podcast, I'm visualizing it I am watching.
So you go into a trance state where it's just completely
when you hear something, you don't actually visualize it in your brain. Anyway, I do. You can listen as Dan loses his mind as myself and another Jordan. We brought in another Jordan just to really just get Dan's nerves grating. And we did not pick games that Dan appreciated. Nope. It was very funny. This month in December, actually immediately when we're done recording this, we're going to record the next Super WioW episode.
Swow. It's the Swow U.
It's the Retro Gaming Awards the Retro Game of the Year awards.
Yeah,
something like that.
We're gonna see.
It's gonna be a good time. So if you want access to that, if you want to vote on future podcast episodes, if you want to get a merch discount and all sorts of other, you can get the podcast a few days early each week or every other week rather.
Yeah.
You can subscribe on Patreon and get all of that stuff.
Link in the description, or I think patreon.com/worth it or worthless. I have to triple check that, but
yeah, you can search for us. You'll find it. It's the internet.
It's there. It's there.
Get it.
We're there. They haven't shut us down yet.
No. All right. What else we got?
I think that is it, Jordan. Do you have anything else before we close it out with our music segment?
I think that's going to do it, but I just wish all of you a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and whatever holidays you might be celebrating over the next couple weeks.
Absolutely. Jordan, speaking of it being Christmas time, we got Carol of the Lost Woods by T. Lopes.
Ooh, mashup of Christmas and retro video games. You can't get much better than that.
Seriously, I wish, I don't know, a month and a half ago, I got this songs from this EP stuck in my head.
Yeah.
And I was listening to Christmas retro game music, and I was like, I wish there was more of this.
Yeah.
So,
well, now whenever I'm listening to Christmas music, I'll hear just the normal Carol of the Bells, and I'm like, "Where's that Lost Woods theme? Where's that Lost Woods theme?" And it doesn't come in, and it just doesn't hit like it does.
Which, by the way, if you don't know who T. Lopes is, he's been crushing it this year with his lo-fi retro gaming stuff. So look him up on Spotify. He's got his own. He's got a playlist on his Spotify called T's Beats.
Ooh, T's
where
Beats.
he's got some Final Fantasy and some Legend of Zelda and some other stuff, and it's really good. So I've been enjoying myself some T. Lopes lately. So I hope you enjoy this song.
Yes, enjoy and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Have a great December. See you in 2 weeks.
Bye.